Welcome to another episode of Moon Monkey. On this episode, we discuss Ready Player One, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Ready Player One is based on the fantastically popular novel of the same name, and Steven Spielberg's turned it into a sort of spectacle of CG and action-packed sequences. The story focuses in on an online community, or an online game, as it's set up, known as the Oasis, where people can essentially log into this VR world and live out anything they want to. I mean, the game's so vast, and there's so much to do in it. There's a Minecraft section, there's a casino section, there's racing, there's basically any kind of game you want to play, you can do it in this online world. The man who created the world, Halliday, has died, but he's left in the world an Easter egg, and whoever finds the egg can essentially becomes the master of the world, comes in control of the whole world, and also becomes heir to Halliday's vast fortune. He's sort of the world's first multi-trillionaire, because this game is sort of the world's only major economy now. So many people are logged in. It's like this company's just taken over the world. There's another corporation called IOI who's competing with them. So the story focuses on a young boy, Wade Watts, who's living in a sort of destitute, run-down part of the city.
There's like a
trailer in a trailer park essentially,
but stacked up. The stacks,
yeah.
But he's like, there's like super rich people and there's people that are super poor. There's no middle class.
The world's kind of gone to hell, but he sort of logs into this world and goes on the quest to find the 3 keys that will unlock the Easter egg, which will give him control of the world. And through the thing, he becomes sort of comes into conflict with the head of IOI, who's a rival company, and their goal is to find the Easter egg so they can essentially profiteer off the games.
They're going to take control and use it to make more money
and make huge profit. So it's sort of a competition between people who love gaming for their fun and for the fun of playing games, and then the companies who are just all about corporate greed and making money and treating people terribly. And to be honest, I liked that it had a lot of commentary on the exploitation that goes on in big companies, even to the point of basically treating workers like slaves. Well, not even basically, they were slaves. They locked them up in cabinets and made them play games 24 hours a day with short breaks. So yeah, it was like a lot of, there's a lot of modern sort of references and commentary in that sense, with like the labour market as it is at the moment.
Well, I've not read the book. I really like sci-fi, and it's always in that section. And I've never been compelled to read Ready Player One, and after the movie, I'm still not compelled to read Ready Player One. But
no, it wouldn't interest me in reading the book, but I had a good time watching the movie.
Part of me was like a bit worried about going, because I was like, it's just going to be loads of. A lot of people have just said, it's just loads of references.
Yeah,
and it is quite heavy on it in a lot of places, and that does kind of take it away. And I feel like a criticism of it would be like it's trying to almost make viewers feel like, if you get these references, you're part of this movie. It's trying to make you, as the viewer, feel smarter if you're getting these tiny little bits here and there. It's trying to make you feel a bit better about it, because you're like, I get that. I get Breakfast Club. Whatever.
It plays on your nostalgia. Yeah, it's like hitting your endorphin receptors or whatever every time they show you a reference from something from the 80s or 90s that you remember.
And I feel like storytelling-wise, a big chunk of the first bit of it is them telling you what's going on rather than showing you what's going on, which is a bit not really what I'm looking for. I feel like they could have taken a bit more time and been like, they explain what was going on. It is just basically Ty Sheridan telling you what's happened the last 30 years and what's going on in his mind.
It certainly had the problem of large exposition dumps.
Yes.
Of him explaining the world. And a lot of it was unnecessary, because I think you would have got the idea. I mean, we've had enough of these movies now. I mean, I would say going back even to things like Tron, which came out in the 80s, I think people get the idea of someone being inside an online world. And now we've even got VR in this kind of game, so it's not that much of a jump to understand what the Oasis is and how it functions. This But yeah, a lot of the film did have that, where it's like exposition dumps, who people are, how the system of Easter eggs works, even to the point of explaining to you what an Easter egg is, which I think anyone who's watching this game about video games probably knows what an Easter egg is. So yeah, it definitely had its problems in the script in that regard, and it was a very simplistic story. I mean, you're not really in any doubt of how things are going to turn out for the characters.
And again, right, it might be that it is a Steven Spielberg movie, and he's again trying to do this kind of big budget family thing. But you're just always, and the score kind of has that feel to it too. But like I know, like you were saying earlier, we were talking about it, and you're like, it feels very old fashioned.
Yeah,
and it does feel like one of those like 80s Spielberg movies, very happy.
That was what
kind
was,
of thing.
Yeah, it's
and
like,
you know, like there's no danger that
it was sort of the nostalgia.
It's going to go any other way than he's going to.
You had that nostalgia of it being like not like I felt at the end of the film. I thought it was weird because there's been so much in it, which is like future-looking technology, this weird oasis and VR world that they're living in. But at the end, you get the sense that you've watched like a film that could have been made sort of 40 years ago, just with the way that the characters rounded out. Like, oh, there's the hero, and he gets the girl, and he beats the bad guy, and it's like everyone's happy at the end. It sort of had probably spoiling the ending here, but it was kind of it was sort of like spoilers coming up. It was like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory style thing. So he's allowed into this virtual world, which is like the Chocolate Factory, and essentially has to learn something about himself to become the ruler of this world. That was kind of the plot of it.
You liked it a lot, though.
Yeah, I did enjoy it, because, to be honest, like, I was going in thinking I would dislike it, because I thought it's just going to be, like, a load of references thrown at you, patronising the audience, and telling you what stuff is. But I feel as though there is actually a story there, as simplistic as it is, and it does have a great forward momentum. Like, I was never bored in it. Because they set up the idea of the keys early on, you know, you're always waiting for the next key to happen. So you always know where you're heading.
Yeah.
In a sense, it's like a lot of Spielberg movies. It's very comfortable, because you know you're in good hands with Spielberg. You know that he knows what he's doing. He's not going to just suddenly let plots drop off and nothing happen with them. You know he's going to tie up loose plot ends. You know that, like, what you think is going to happen is going to happen. And I thought it was really good. They did a bit with The Shining in the centre part.
Oh,
which was
yeah,
really fantastic.
I forgot about that. That was really good too.
And the CG, like, as much as people complain about CG, I think this shows the best way to go with CG, which is just, if you're going to do it, just go all out, make everything CG.
And the thing is, though, the thing is with that, though, they spent so much time in there, and a lot of it, in the end, seemed to be to do with the relationships they had outside as well. That was important, but then you never really built that relationship outside up. I feel like
that's true.
The way the characters worked together, there was a bit that just felt a bit shaky, because they didn't have that. They didn't build those relationships really. It was all done like 5 minutes, and everybody's in love.
Well, that's true.
Everybody's best friends.
Yeah, the way that part of the movie finished off, you didn't have much build up to it.
No,
you kind of knew it was going to happen, but you still felt it didn't, just kind of came out of nowhere.
What I will say about it is Steven Spielberg knows how to do a good car chase and a good action sequence, and visually it looks very good, and there's lots of action going on. It looks very impressive, and then the camera's sweeping through it all, and you're like, oh, this is, well done. I'll give you props for that. But overall, the story was a bit weak for me, and I've not read the book, and a lot of people have said they've cut a lot out. But I just feel like
it's sort of a generic action-adventure movie, but directed by someone who has a great sense of directing movies and is able to sort of pull it off. In a way, another director, it would have probably come across as, this is really generic and dull. But I thought there was enough in there. I mean, especially for younger viewers, I think there's enough to keep them entertained. Like, so much
they're not going to get the references, though.
They won't get the references, but there's so much sort of going on the screen, and there's so much to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it does have a lot going on, but I mean, I think, like, for a lot of people, it's like maybe their favourite book or whatever, and I don't know if it would really live up to that. For me, because I don't really feel like there's that much in there. Either that or the book's really short. Like, because I just feel like there isn't that much story in the movie. Like, you've got the keys and they're working towards it, but I feel like a lot of this movie is pinned on the visuals and what's going on, rather than the actual story and the characters interacting and stuff like that.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, there really was not there was really hardly any character development. I mean, the characters were the same from the beginning to the end. The only character that you sort of got involved with in any way was Halliday himself. You kind of learned a little about him through the characters discovering about his life. But even then, he didn't change.
He was kind of playing like a weird Steve Jobs.
Yeah. But I did like Mark Rylance's performance. So overall, like, I thought it was an entertaining film. It was a highly competent action-adventure story. So I would definitely recommend people to go see it. Especially if you're, if you like this kind of... If you like big-budget action films... This is probably one of the best examples of the genre. Big budget action films, there's a lot of just like they're phoning in, but this felt like, they actually tried to make something entertaining.
Yeah, it's visually impressive, but it's not very gripping character-wise. I would say something like that. I didn't love it. That's the best I can say about it, because I didn't love it.
How would you compare it to, like, a Marvel film? Because that's the only thing I compare it to, like, the big-budget action spectacle. That's what it was kind of like. It's like hero, villain, they're going to fight at the end.
It would be one of the...
mid-range ones.
Yeah, it would be a good Marvel movie.
All right.
It'd be like a Captain America 1.
Well, I thought it was better than that, just because it was unique. I know the other thing that it reminded me of was like the Lego movies, just because they had so many.
Lego movies better though.
They had so many characters thrown in there, so it's just interesting to see all the characters and stuff.
Yeah, but
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. It's kind of like cheating you into liking a film for which the story's weaker. But for me, it kind of worked. They managed to trick me into enjoying it.
Just because they mentioned the Millennium Falcon and Battlestar Galactica, and Silent Running isn't enough.
Well, it's going to divide opinion.
It will divide. So, let us know what you think about.
Let us know in the comments below the video. Thanks for listening to our review of Ready Player One. We'll be back again soon with another review.